Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Supervisors meeting. We'll call this meeting to order and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. No public comment. No one signing for public comment. We'll move on to liaison reports. No solicitor report today. Emergency Management Coordinator.
On November 26th, I was over Station 28 at the Center County Fire Station. They set up a mock table of the town with the different possibilities of disasters, different chemicals, the different accidents that could happen. And it was a really good seminar. The only other thing I have is I want to commend the fire company down at Heckman Cemetery Road and Penn Valley Road. There was a pickup truck with 36 gallons of diesel fuel in the tank. The tank fell off. He pulled in there by that little stream, and the fire company maintained it, contained all the materials, did a great job, kept it from getting in the creek. It could have went from there right into Penn's Creek. We could have had problems. So they did a great job.
Thank you. Anything for Emergency Management Coordinator? Gregg Township Fire Company.
Good evening, Darren Bressler, Gregg Township Fire Company. I'm one of the assistant chiefs over there. I'd like to start by thanking the supervisors for any and all donations and support that you've given us through 2019, and we continue to look forward to moving forward and working with you guys in the community. In November, we ran 10 calls. Jim, thank you very much for the kind words on that call. You're right, it could be disastrous pretty quick. We had elections last Thursday. Really, the only two changes were Dan Musser is now our president and Doug Leach is the vice president. Dan has served the fire company for a long time, so well deserved. Our bingo is December 20th. Please come out and support us if you can. We had a chicken barbecue, a soup sale, and a hoagie sale. It was very successful. Again, thank you, community, for supporting us. In the bingo, most of you probably know Brandon and Sierra Musser are going through a very rough time. They have a small child that has some medical conditions. So at our bingo, we set out a can for the bingo players that they would like to donate, and they did. So what the fire company did is last Thursday, we also made a contribution which equaled then $300 for the Musser family. We have Sheets gift cards that we have purchased for them, and actually Brandon and I are texting back and forth so that we can meet up and make sure that we get those to those people for their travel expenses. So prayers with that. One thing that I'm going to make a commitment to, me personally, is for the February supervisors meeting, the Gregg Township Fire Company is going to have a rough draft of a document, a vision statement moving forward for the fire company, a 1-year plan, a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan, and then a 10-year plan, so that we can share that with the community, with the supervisors, to hopefully dispel any rumors that are still out there about the fire. That's all I have. Thank you.
Anything for the fire company? Old Gregg School.
Don't really have much for this time other than to report on our craft fair, which I think was pretty much of a success. I don't have the final, but I think we are somewhere around $1,983.36 in profit because we had no expenses. Everything was donated. We did have 14 vendors who did not show, and so that meant we lost $350. So until next year, we plan on having things set up differently so that we will not lose that money. Yeah, that's everything.
Thank you. Fiscal plant manager's report.
Yeah, I just want to say that I went ahead and ordered a filter device so that the hot water doesn't turn into scale and coat the inside of the dishwasher. We're having a lot of trouble with that. And it would also help when we put in a steaming cabinet, and it would help the pot sink also. So that's on order, it's been shipped, and look forward to getting it in soon. That's all.
Anything you want to add, Pam?
No.
Penns Valley Code Enforcement Agency, we have received the report at the beginning of the month. Any comments on anything with that? Penns Valley Emergency Medical Services, we had that joint municipal meeting, was it last week or the week before? The EMS had hired a consultant to come in and look at the organization as a whole and make recommendations as to how to move forward. One of the recommendations was that they reorganize their organization, their board, and create the board as the controlling entity of the organization, with a representative from each municipality on that board. So we need to decide whether that is how we would like, as Gregg Township, we would like them to move forward, so that we can have another municipal meeting with their voting members, because currently that's who controls the EMS, is the voting members, to rewrite the bylaws. So we need to have that discussion, if that's how we want to move forward. Any comments?
I feel that's the direction we should head.
Yeah, I do too. When you say voting members, are you talking about, you're not talking about paid memberships, you're talking about, or
The
some.
way their organization is
Yeah.
currently set up is the volunteer members are the controlling entity of the
Okay,
Penns
okay.
Valley EMS.
Okay.
And then there's the board,
Right.
which is made up of a representative and others. But the recommendation will be to redo the bylaws so that the board would be the controlling entity moving forward. There were a number of other things. You were at the
Yeah, right,
meeting.
right.
You'll have the document you can review.
Yeah.
So we need to decide that so that they can schedule another meeting. So I'll entertain a motion to move forward with a recommendation to reorganize with the board as the controlling entity with a representative from each municipality.
I'll make the motion.
I will second that.
Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Another thing we'll need to consider is at the reorganization meeting in January, Lindsay has served her 2-year term as our representative, and she is stepping out of that position. So we do need to fill that, and the recommendation is to fill it with a supervisor to the board. So we'll need to have that for the consent agenda for January's meeting.
Okay.
Anything else about EMS?
Aye.
Penns Valley Regional Planning Commission?
I just want to say that the next meeting will be, and I think it's going to be the 4th Tuesday, but I guess that's still up in the air. We changed the date so that other municipalities could attend, but by going to the 4th Tuesday, then Tom Zilla cannot attend. So I don't know if that needs more discussion or.
Yeah. When we get to the advertising the meeting days, I think we're going to need to remove Penns Valley Regional Planning Commission from that advertisement because we haven't figured that out, but we need to advertise the rest of the dates.
Yeah, okay. That's all I have.
Planning Commission?
Nothing at the moment.
Tri-Municipal Park?
I really have no report. I want to thank the township for the support of the park this past year. Moving in the future.
Yeah, I just want to say that the disc golf tees have been completely backfilled around now, and all they need is seeded. So once they're seeded and the grass goes up, that part of the park is finished.
Water and Sewer Authority, any report from there? Okay, no report. That's it for liaison reports. We move on to Secretary Treasurer's report. I'll entertain a motion to approve the November 14th, 2019 Board of Supervisors meeting minutes.
I will make that motion.
Second here.
Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimous. I'll entertain a motion to accept and approve the all funds financial report.
I will make that motion.
Second motion.
Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. I'll entertain a motion to approve the December 6th, 2019 budget meeting minutes.
I'll make the motion.
I will second that.
Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Right to know officers report. I do want to make a comment that in the last day, we received 3 right to know requests from 3 different people for security footage that we're currently under litigation for. So that's something to keep in attention to. Anything else on right to know report? Okay. Roadmaster's report.
I guess of late, we've been trying to finish putting up snow fence. The weather hasn't exactly cooperated with hunting season and whatnot. We have a little bit left to do, we're done with that. We borrowed Milheim Brewer's chipper, and we're doing some tree trimming until we get ours underway. We got all the parts, we're waiting on thermostat and the gasket, and other than that, we got all our parts for ours. We put it together and be able to use it. So on the unfinished business here, the underground storage tank, that is obviously no more, but our above ground storage tank is up, working. The blocks are installed around it for safety precaution. We just have the individual contractor that's working on it got sick. He has to hook up a few wiring things to finalize it and us to get our inspection, but that's pretty much wrapped up. We've been spreading a little bit of salt, plowing a little bit of snow here and there, and that's about it, I guess.
Anything else for the Roadmaster?
I have nothing.
No.
Okay, unfinished business, as we just discussed, what's going on for tank. We can move on to the Penske Road turnback proposal. Comments, discussion?
Well, I have read it. Randy, did you want to talk about it first, or?
Doesn't matter, I can, if you'd like me to, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, what do you think? Yeah.
Okay. Introduce myself first, Randy Albert from PennDOT in Clearfield. Been involved in the Penske discussion for how many years now? 3 maybe? And it hasn't all been exciting, but it's continuing. As we all know, Sarah Campbell Lane has been built and the township accepted that as a township road, I believe last month, is that correct?
Or a couple months.
Might have been, okay. And still the thought and the concept out there is to vacate the section of road that actually goes through Penske. As part of that, we would like to essentially turn over the section of road that goes from Ridge Road up to Sarah Campbell Lane to the township and make that a township road from Ridge Road up to Sarah Campbell Lane, and then make that the main exit route out onto 192. We've offered the township what we feel is a pretty substantial proposal to upgrade that road in a major way. It's far beyond any upgrade that section of road would ever see. And we think the turnback proposal, the turnback program, is going to be the preferred way to do that. We can benefit the township that way in the best way. Some of the items that we believe are reasons for doing it, and we understand one of the main reasons for doing it, but we've also proposed to realign the approach to Sarah Campbell Lane, swing the road more out into the Penske field there, and make it more of a gradual turn onto Sarah Campbell Lane. We provided funding for that in the turnback proposal. And I understand Penske is willing to donate the land for that to happen. So things could be in place for that to happen. We are also interested in redirecting the traffic to the intersection of Sarah Campbell Lane and 192 that goes up through there. That intersection was put in according to current standards. The other intersection where 2012 comes out onto 192, as you know, is a difficult view when you're looking out there for sight distance and things, and with the speed of vehicles there, the sight distance really doesn't meet current standards. The intersection with 192 and Sarah Campbell Lane does. We've also proposed in the proposal to eliminate some of the vertical curves. There's a lot of over verticals, we call them vertical curves, if you want to call them that. We put money in there to cut those down and make those better on the roadway. We've provided money to remove trees and some embankments along the roadway. We've provided money for drainage improvements. There's a low area on the roadway before you go up the hill to Penn's Cave. We've provided money for pipes in that area, additional pipes. I understand it floods in there. We've provided money for additional pipes in that area until they elevate the roadway probably 15 to 20 inches to get that up out of a flooding situation. So that's through there. The other thing we see is a separation of traffic through Penn's Cave with the visitors. That's the original intent of the folks at Penn's Cave, and we see that as an advantage. And the other advantage, and me attending the antique machinery show this year and camping down there, is the ability to close the roadway. The township would have the ability, they would have control of the roadway. If you wanted to close it during special events, it would certainly be easier and simpler for you to do that. So we have a proposal at the desk of the supervisors. We would like you to consider that tonight and either vote to accept or vote to reject that at the next meeting. Any questions from anyone?
Randy, I'm wondering what the consequences are of us not accepting this turnback proposal.
There's a number of ways we can, I'll say, deal with roads in the state. The turnback program was created in 1981, and it's a vehicle where we can give money to municipalities to take over roads. There's other ways we can get rid of roads. One of them is called an abandonment, where PennDOT can technically give the road to the municipality. There's no money in that program except what they would get for regular liquid fuels money. I do want to point out with the turnback program, you'll get $4,000 a mile a year. This road is about a mile, so you get $4,000 every year with your liquid fuel payment. It doesn't have to be used on that road. It can be used anywhere in the township, that $4,000. But the other way, you'll get regular liquid fuel money, which is around $3,200 this year. It changes a little bit. So we haven't decided that we want to pursue that route. We would rather work through the turnback program where we can benefit you in a certain way with the funds that we're trying to, that we've offered you.
If the road were abandoned, what are the options then? Does it go back to the landowners?
Abandonment, from our standpoint, goes back to the municipality,
Yeah.
and then we would vacate the section through Penn's Cave property, which goes back to the property owner. So if we abandon, it goes to you. That's a highway law of 1945 that was set up that way, and is still in effect today. But the turnback program has some sense come into effect to where we can give you money to take care of, to fix the road, and then give you a yearly payment on the road that's more substantial than what your regular payment is.
If it were abandoned, why wouldn't all the adjacent landowners be treated the same way? In other words, it would go back to Penn's Cave for the portion that goes through there, but the other portion from Sarah Campbell Lane down to Ridge Road would go back to us. Is that?
Because of the two different processes. The vacation goes back to the property owner. The abandonment goes back to the municipality.
But the question he's asking is, why would you give treatment to one property owner and not to the rest of the property owners on the
Well, we have to have agreement with property owners to vacate the road. The section in Penn's Cave, there's only one property owner. With the other section of road, there's many property owners, and we probably wouldn't be able to do it that way. We probably wouldn't be able to vacate that. They could oppose that in court, and we wouldn't be able to vacate that, so the property owners. And then who would maintain it, who would plow it, who would be responsible for fixing it up when it goes bad?
Okay.
That's the
you vacate the portion back to Penn's Cave Road and he does not close that portion of the road, is he by law required to make sure that it is plowed and accessible?
Yes, it would be his completely, and he would have to maintain it from here on out. You would not have to maintain it, we would not maintain it.
But he would have to maintain it if it's open.
At his discretion, however he wanted to maintain it. Just like any private lane, my own lane has 3 or 4 homes on it. We maintain it as, you know, we're willing to accept it, but certainly not to the standards that the township or state does. It would be his, he would own it.
Well, we've talked about this before a number of times, and at some point I said that if we had $1 million from the turnback or PennDOT, whatever it is, we could put that in the bank, and that would be enough with the interest to pay for the maintenance of the road.
Right.
Without that, this is a future tax liability for us, not right away, but 15, 20 years down the road, then we're going to start to have to repair the road again and maintain it. And I'm concerned about raising taxes at some point to do that. If we had $1 million we could put in the bank, I think that would, for me, that's what would make the difference.
The intent of the program is not to bankroll a municipality. The intent of the program is to repair the road, and the $4,000, part of that is the maintenance money, and there's some extra in here that you could bank. There's certainly not $1 million, but there's some extra money in there that if you invested it, you would have that interest to use on that road or any other road in the township you chose to do. You're in control of it after the turnback.
Right.
The other point I wanted to make is when we first came up with that proposal, we had a lively meeting here a few years ago. One of the things that was brought up by the residents was, why wasn't Sarah Campbell being used and built in this manner? Right, wrong, or otherwise, whether you agree with it or not, or whether I agree with it or not, Sarah Campbell is built, it's a public road now, and that's why we're following through with this proposal to you folks to try to complete that action.
So if Sarah Campbell was built and it's already serving the purpose of redirecting the vast majority of traffic from Penn's Cave Road because of the signage and stuff, can't that just be enough?
We could vacate that section. There's no good place to turn around there. That's the problem with equipment. For us, for
No, I mean, why does it need to be vacated at all? I mean, if there's less traffic, which was what the safety concern was, can't it just continue as it is with PennDOT maintaining all the way through to 192, that section, and the township maintains Sarah Campbell, and you still have alleviated the issue of traffic?
Right. It has to some extent, it hasn't to some extent. Traffic-wise, you know, I was over there during the equipment show, and there's still a lot of interaction there. We are certainly not interested in having 3 intersections on 192, you know, 3 public intersections on 192 within a mile.
But he's still going to be using that as access to the cave, so it's still going to be 3 entrances off of 192.
It would be a permitted entrance at that point, so there would have to be some changes made there. I'm not sure what all those would indicate.
The other issue is PennDOT's not going to want a dead plow route at Ridge Road.
We've talked about that. We're much more comfortable with Ridge Road than we are with the Sarah Campbell intersection where it's at now.
So they're comfortable with plowing to Ridge Road and turning around?
It's a bigger area. It's enough to get trucks around. We've looked at that.
So
it's
there's not
perfect, but
a likelihood of you adopting Ridge regardless?
we would consider that. We proposed that before, but that was kind of a negative discussion, so we didn't consider that again. We would consider a swap. We had proposed a swap before where you would take that section road and we would take Ridge Road.
I think our residents like our maintenance.
Right, I think you do a better
I just
job than we do.
wanted to make
Don't
sure
tell
that it
anybody I
wasn't.
said that. I'm sure you do.
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't you were just going to come and adopt Ridge so that PennDOT had a.
We certainly have the legal right to do that. Again, the turnback concept is the preferred method to do that. We have the right to adopt a road if we feel it's necessary for state use under the same 1945 highway law. saying that, I'm not saying we're even considering that at this point, but that exists, it is there. That's the advantage of doing it with a turn back. There's more benefit to you in doing it as a turn back, in my mind.
Well,
We keep discussing, you haven't said anything about it.
At this point in the game, with the dollars that you guys have showed us, Randy, I'm not really interested at that point.
It's a substantial offer.
Right.
We've estimated it.
I'm concerned about the future.
Yeah, we've estimated it what it would cost if we were doing it as a PennDOT project. And it's probably 30 to 40% less than what we've offered you. So there's money there for you to invest if you decide to do that and have money for future maintenance.
Turnbacks are never win for the township. Yes, it'll be a substantial amount for a very short amount of time. but-
Depends on how the supervisors manage it. I've seen supervisors manage it well. I've seen supervisors spend it right away.
That's my concern. I'm concerned about the future for the residents,
Mhm.
making another burden.
Mhm. The road that you would be getting is probably better constructed than 45, 192.
I don't doubt the construction of the
322,
road will
I'm
be
gonna tell you,
good,
it's
but
a
we have
better
to plow
construction
it, we have to
concept.
mow, we have to maintain the berms. I
Sure.
mean, sure, $4,000 in liquid fuels, but that doesn't, that's not intended to really
Understand.
fully maintain the road either.
well, you've been really nice to us. And,
Oh, and that will
very
continue.
gracious.
Don't worry. We're good.
Yeah. My feeling is we should not take this road. I think it will hurt us in the future. And it's not political or anything like that. It's just that I know how this goes. And we'll definitely need a fourth road crew member, but we may get to that before whether this road is turned back or not. But the longer we can put that off, I guess, the better. But I think it will be expensive for us in the future, and I don't think we should do it. And that's my position on it.
At this point in time, I would agree with Doug.
Somebody gotta make a motion.
Oh, okay. I'll make the motion that we do not accept the most recent PennDOT proposal for turning back Penns Cave Road from Sarah Campbell Lane to Ridge Road.
I will second that motion.
Any further discussion? My only comment for discussion would be that whether there's the potential that we readdress this in the future.
I would certainly listen to any counter offer you might have. It needs to be reasonable and with the realm of the program. We are not going to go along with you putting $1 million in your pocket for future investment purposes, period. That's not the intent of the program. That will not get approved in Harry.
Right, just meaning that before PennDOT might make any other decisions, that we potentially reopen this as a
I can't
mutually
speak-
working together
Yeah.
to
I can't speak for the organization what their decision will be if you approve the motion you have on the table. I will certainly let you know if we're headed that direction. That's my best promise I can give you at this point.
Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, Randy.
Thank you.
New business, motion to advertise meeting dates for 2020. We need to remove Regional Planning Commission. Do we have Regional Planning? Okay, so that doesn't matter. budget meeting dates are the ones we need to change. Charles, we didn't hear back from you about dates in October and November. What did you say you weren't available for?
For a budget meeting,
Right.
I can find out. I may have a conflict here on this November 12th, the supervisors. I can find out tomorrow whether I do or not. And
October, I'd be available up to and including the 9th, ma'am.
The 9th.
In November, the first 3 weeks.
The first 3 weeks you are available of November?
Correct.
okay, in October, what date were you considering?
I would consider them the 7th and 8th.
The 7th and the 8th. Seventh and 8th are okay.
Charles, October 7th and 8th?
I said I'm good up to and including the 9th.
Making sure. November 4th and 5th? You don't have one, he said.
What's that?
You don't have one, he said he's not going to be here.
No, I don't.
4th and 5th are okay for me.
Okay.
Is that okay with you, Charles?
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the 2020 meeting dates as listed with the change of budget meetings to October 7th and 8th and November 4th and 5th.
I may have a conflict on the 12th.
Oh,
of November.
well, we have to make the motion tonight, so we need to decide whether we're moving or not.
Okay, well, yeah, I can find out tomorrow before you advertise, so. I
But
think,
we have to make a motion tonight, though.
well,
We need to decide on it.
if we make the motion tonight for the 12th, and I come back tomorrow and say, oh, well, that was a conflict, that is a conflict, then what will you do? I mean, we have time to advertise these, right?
Right, but we're making a motion.
You want me to make a motion that we advertise these dates conditional upon November 12th?
We need to pick another date then in case you're not available.
An
That's what the
alternative
issue
date,
is,
yeah.
right?
All right. Well, before November 12th is okay. After the 26th is okay. That pretty much cuts half of November off.
We could just make the November 5th budget meeting a regular board of supervisors meeting.
Okay. Okay. So, November 5th is a tentative board meeting, and it also could be the 12th, if that's, all right, I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimous. General code, once a year, they update any of the ordinances that we did throughout the previous year, adding them into the actual codification.
But she wanted to send us a revised,
Do you remember about what the dollar amount was?
I think it was right around 1,900.
So we need a motion to approve adding the previous ordinances into the codification.
I'll make the motion.
previous ordinances.
Right, there were a few from 18 and 19 that need to be added in.
Yeah, okay, I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimous. Under correspondence, Dave Gibbons with Center Risk emailed me last night that he's working with a group from Penn State to apply for a grant. We do have, I forgot about the resolution. Okay. To apply for a grant through Platform for Advanced Wireless Research, asking a letter of support from us for the Penn State Broadband Innovation Test Bed Team, apply for funding to develop new wireless internet technology that will help us with providing high-speed internet to places like Georges Valley where it's difficult with the topography to get it there. So I just need a motion to approve sending a letter of support for that.
Letter of support. Okay, yeah, I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimous. When we did the Sarah Campbell Lane paperwork, we needed to have a resolution in order to submit to PennDOT to get our liquid fuels for Sarah Campbell Lane. So we do need to approve resolution R1908 and get that over to PennDOT tonight, so we're already past due.
You need a motion, correct?
Entertain a motion to approve resolution R1908.
I will make that motion. Second here.
Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimous. You'll sign that. The next meeting is our organizational meeting, which will actually be held on the first Monday of January, January 6th, at 6:30. So be aware. Oh, if I do have one more thing. We need to approve the Christmas party lunch and the gift card or gift. I would actually like to make a motion that we give a $100 bonus check to the full-time employees for Christmas this year instead of just a gift card. And a motion to approve the Christmas party lunch.
I'll make that motion. Yeah, when is the lunch? The date?
We talked about either Friday the 20th or
20th.
Monday the 23rd.
Do we have
Is there a second on that motion?
Yes, I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimous. Anything else for the good of the order?
I see there's a policeman back here. Did
Did
you want to talk to us?
I'm here. Sorry, I was a minute late, but
Do you have anything for us?
I don't.
Okay.
I just read the numbers for the last month here in Township. Things are fairly quiet. There's a couple crashes like you guys were talking about, but a couple trees down or something like that. We've heard $10, and other than that, it's been very, there's like 28 things, and 1 or 2 of those were crashes. The rest were nothing, so it's really good. I know a couple of the troopers do a lot of the church checks and stuff. They've been doing the domestic security checks. A few of those, the Amish school. So they're always in there. Troop keeps good on his backyard down this way.
Thank you.
Any questions for me?
No,
Thank you.
I have none. Thanks.
Yeah.
Anything else for the good of the order?
I have nothing, no.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will make that motion.
Well, I'll second it.
Meeting adjourned.
Yeah.